So, wow. All of that just happened. Alright, I read the chapter twice before I started this video. Like, literally two times, and I have no idea how to process any of that information. I have no idea where to even start this video. Because everything that happened in this chapter, like, set up so much and implied so many things that it just has my head going, like, crazy right now trying to think of all the theories and, like, all the possibilities for future chapters. I mean, seriously, I feel like I should have like one of those walls filled with pictures and a whole bunch of red string trying to connect the dots with how much this chapter set up in my head. Man, leave it to Attack on Titan to have a chapter without a single Titan showing up and killing somebody to still be this intense and this important. Okay, so I don't really know where to begin with this review, so I guess I'll just start at the very beginning. So we got basically to start up. It's pretty much picking up where the last chapter left off. Everyone's still around in that meeting, basically talking about the fact that Commander-in-Chief Zackley was killed off by that explosion. And this part of the chapter basically comes down to the military police higher-ups don't trust the Survey Corps anymore. They don't. It's basically coming down to like that whole like civil war that the Survey Corps and the military had against each other a few chapters ago, basically, or a while ago when they were trying to get Historia into power and basically, expose the fact that, the king or the person they all thought was king was actually, fake. It's basically coming down to that again. Because the military police higher-ups don't trust Hanji, Because we find out that the Jaeger faction, which is basically the people who helped Eren escape and are working with Eren and Zeke in order to enact their plan, we find out that basically every person in that group was a member of the Survey Corps. So because of that, the military higher-ups, or the military police higher-ups are saying that, well, how do we know that all of you in the Survey Corps aren't working for Eren and Zeke? How can we possibly trust you? And this moment right here, if you are not a Hanji fan, or if you are a Hanji fan, this is the moment that you love, because this just goes to show you why this character is such a badass. Because during the interrogation, basically the military police are basically interrogating Hanji, and Survey Corps saying, well, how do we know that we can trust you? And Hanji basically fires back and saying, well, all of this is kind of your fault. Basically, if you guys are dragging your feet with the rumbling plan, knowing that pretty much everyone in the Survey Corps and everyone in basically the entire Paris Island believes that this plan is the only way for the Eldians to survive this war. You're still dragging your feet knowing that. And on top of that, you know that basically everyone, literally every civilian and most of the Survey Corps members, believe that Eren is basically a messiah. And despite that, you guys are still secretly planning to have him killed and replace him as the founding Titan. You honestly, you basically brought all of this onto yourselves. And you know what? Hanji is completely right. Literally, the military police and the higher-ups in the military, they basically brought all this on themselves. Like, exactly the fact that he was just so suspicious and he was so cautious of Eren, and the fact that he was, having plans in secret behind everyone's backs. Of course, this was gonna end up happening. Like, you let Eren be built up as a messiah. You should have squashed that before it even happened. And it's even kind of funny because at that point, after Hanji kind of points all that out, the military police higher-ups basically say, well, they imply that the reason why they were, doing everything in secret, and the reason why they kept the Survey Corps in the dark about their plans to replace Eren is because they were afraid of what Mikasa would do. They don't outright say it, but the way they say, like, they literally say, well, we kept it a secret because of what would have happened if we told you guys. And the panel kind of pins in on Mikasa, like you could see, like it's mainly focusing on Mikasa, because they know that if they would have let everyone know that they were planning on replacing Eren as the founding Titan, Mikasa would have went batshit crazy and killed everyone. Because despite how evil Eren has kind of been in the past few chapters, Mikasa still wants to protect him as best she can. Hell, we even saw a little bit of this in the last chapter, where when her and Armin kind of started to suspect that they were planning on killing off Eren to replace him, Mikasa wanted to go back in there and listen in on the conversation, and we already know that if they would have, confirmed her suspicions, she would have killed them all right there. She would have at least tried to break into the room and kill every single person in that room, and then break Eren out of jail herself. But anyway, while they're all squabbling, arguing back and forth, basically Pyxis comes in like a badass. Like, seriously, he comes in and basically just shuts everything down. He's like, all right, listen, I'm in charge now. Shut up. We can literally not afford at this moment to be fighting amongst ourselves. We had to be working together at this point. And he starts barking orders. He basically tells Hanji, hey, listen, gather everyone who knows about where Zeke is and make sure that information stays quiet. Make sure no one is going to find out. Make sure there's no possibility of Eren's people finding out about this before we do. And then he goes to the military higher-ups and be like, listen, you know where Historia is. She is possibly a target for Eren because of the fact that she could be a replacement for Zeke if they can't enact their plan before he has to give up the power. So make sure her hiding place is kept secret as well. And then Pyxis even goes to Armin and is like, listen, you're our only Titan power. So you're basically our main defense against everything that's going on right now. So be on the ready. Because we might need you to, to tighten up a little bit. And Armin is actually kind of funny because we use Armin as basically the way to solidify the fact that Pyxis is in charge now, that he is now the new commander-in-chief. Because Armin basically says, with Zachary dead, you are the only one fit to lead us now, so what are we going to do? And this actually this is the part that kind of blew my mind from this chapter. Because when everyone looks at Pyxis and they're like, alright, so what's the plan? Like, how are we going to battle this? Are we going to, fight against Eren and them? He's like, no, we're going to surrender. We're going to surrender to them. We lost. It's already game over. It's already game over for us. Everyone's like, wait, what? And it basically comes down to Pyxis saying that, alright, we can't afford to keep losing soldiers. And if we try to go after Eren and stop whatever plan him and Zeke have, that's all it's going to come down to is we're going to lose soldiers. We're going to lose the soldiers we already have, and we're going to lose the soldiers that are working with them. So instead of doing that, we'll negotiate with them. We'll let them know. We'll let them know where Zeke is being held, and we'll negotiate letting them enact their plan. We'll let them go forward with their plan, and then we'll watch. We'll see where things go from here. And then, if things go too far, we'll obviously step in and stop them. But for now, we need a rolling plan to succeed, so we'll let them go forward with it. Now, when I first read the chapter and I saw that this was what Pyxis is planning, I was a little worried of it, but then I started thinking back and I was like, alright, listen. Literally everything Pyxis has done has worked out so far. Like, literally every plan he has come up with has basically worked out. I mean, sure, I haven't always agreed with his methods, but pretty much everything he's done up at this point has worked out in everyone's favor. Has always, succeeded in the way he wanted it to. So, as long as he does have the Eldians and the soldiers and, the military's best interest in heart, then I'm willing to, let his plan go forward. I have no doubts that his plan will succeed. But anyway, after that, we get a short scene where we see Mikasa basically arguing with Jean and Connie because she's still trying to believe in Eren. She's still saying that, maybe Eren didn't know anything about Zachary being killed. Maybe that was just, what the Jaeger faction did on their own without his knowledge. While Connie and Jean are basically saying, no, it's very clear that Eren isn't on our side anymore, Mikasa. You got to kind of give up on the guy. And it basically just kind of comes down to Hanji saying, all right, everyone shut the fuck up. We need to, be smart about this. She doesn't agree with Pyxis' plan, so she's like, all right, we're going to do investigating ourselves. We're going to, start doing our own investigation. And our first stop is basically to go to that restaurant of that guy, Nikolai, something like that, Nicolo. The guy that was basically kind of close to Sasha, the guy who went to go visit her grave, who she basically, who was, feeding her. Who was also implied in the chapter was dating Sasha, despite the fact that he was a Malaysian soldier and he should hate Eldians. But anyway, yeah, it's kind of implied that he was dating her. And anyway, they're going there to basically ask him a few questions about what he knows, or what he could possibly know about Zeke and Eren's plan. Then we cut over to the part of the chapter that I've been waiting for a while now for. Alright, so we're back with the Bros family with Gabi and Falco as well. And they're going to that same restaurant that Hanji and them were actually heading to, with Nicole there. And it's basically because Nicole offered to, feed Sasha's family. He basically offered to cook them a meal at his restaurant. So they go up there, and they're basically, they're having a good time. They're enjoying the food. Gabi and Falco are still a little bit nervous because of the fact that, they have a plan of their own, basically sneak over to the Malaysian soldiers and talk to them. Which they end up doing after they end up finding out who Nicolo is. They kind of sneak off to talk to him. But before that, I do want to mention the fact that while Gabi and Falco and the Bros family are having their dinner, Hanji and the rest of the people on the team basically show up at the restaurant and they're like, hey, we need to talk to you. And Nicolo basically takes them to that same room that we saw the military police higher-ups talking in. And while they're there, we see Connie and Jean looking at the wine. And they're like, all right, well, we're here, while we might as well drink it. And this is when we see Nicolo start to freak out. He steals a wine bottle from them and starts acting completely out of character from what we've seen from him so far. Now, at first, this scene doesn't seem all that important, but I want you to remember this wine bottle, because Nicolo takes it with him, and it's actually going to come into play at the end of the chapter. But anyway, after Gabi and Falco sneak off, they actually go to find Nicolo, and they basically tell him about the fact that they are from Marley, and that there's an invasion coming. I don't know exactly how they know that the invasion's coming, because they kind of left before that was planned out, but still they tell him, to stay strong as a Marley soldier, and they're kind of looking for him for help as to, like, a way to get back to Marley. And this is when we start to see Nico realize, you two are the ones who killed Sasha. Not really Falco, but I mean Gabi is the one who killed her. And he goes crazy. Like, he literally, while Gabi is telling him everything, like, she's confessing the fact that she was the one who killed Sasha, and that she killed a whole bunch of other soldiers, and she could only kill a few of them. And while this is going on, Falco picks up on the fact that Nico is starting to act a little bit strange, and he's starting to get a little bit pissed off. So he tries to stop Gabi from talking anymore, and just as he gets her to shut up a little bit, Nico picks up the wine bottle that he took that Jean and Connie were trying to drink, and tries to smash Gabi's head in. Now, Falco gets her out of the way, but he takes the hit himself. When I first read this part, I actually thought Falco was dead, because the way the panel directly after he gets hit is drawn, we see him and Gabi on the floor, and it looks like Falco's head is completely twisted around. So I literally thought he had died from that hit, and from falling on the ground, like somehow twisted his neck around. But anyway, we see a moment, like we see a panel of some of the wine, because at first I thought it was blood, but it's actually wine that's on his head. We see some of it drip down into his mouth, and Nico's like, oh fuck. And then he just goes completely mental. He goes completely crazy at that point. He picks up Falco, he picks up Gabi, punches her in the face, throws her in front of the Bros family with a knife and says, listen, she's the one who killed your daughter. So, here's a knife. Either you kill her, or I'm going to. And that's when everything starts going to complete chaos. Like, we literally see, basically, Armin and the rest of the Survey Corps members jump in there. They're like, what the fuck's going on? Nico's like, listen, she's the one who did everything. She's the one who killed your daughter. Get revenge. She's the one who took Sasha away from us. She took her away from me. He's going completely crazy. We can see the fact that he actually did care about Sasha, and then, he actually is very upset about her death. And this is when Gabi kind of fires back and says, well, she killed people I cared about too. Like, literally, these people killed my friends, my family members, people I cared about, so I got revenge. And this is when things actually start to get really interesting, because we see Sasha's dad actually step up to Niccolo and ask for the knife. And then, like, for a moment there, he's standing over Gabi, and you think he's actually going to kill her. He's going to try to. And how do you even think that herself? And she steps in and tries to stop him. But then we see him pass the knife on to his wife. And this is when we start to get a monologue from him, which is actually really fucking deep. Because he talks about the fact that Sasha was a hunter. He raised her to be a hunter. She used her bow and arrow to shoot and kill animals, and that's how they survived in the forest. But then he realized that she couldn't stay in the forest if she wanted to survive, so he sent her off to be a soldier. He sent her off to a bigger world to basically be out of the forest. But what he failed to realize at the time was the fact that he was actually sending her to just a bigger forest. Because basically, when she became a soldier, her job now was to still hunt and kill. And that's what she did. And when she went to Marley, she hunted and killed other soldiers over in Marley. And in herself, she was killed in return. And he basically says, that's my fault as an adult. Instead of getting her out of the forest, which is what we should do to all kids, we should get them out of the forest and basically not have them involved in this war. We send them into the forest and let them be hunters. It's our fault as adults to, for all this, that everything that happened. And this basically comes down to him forgiving Gabi for killing his daughter. And we even see after that, after his wife throws away the knife, we see him and his wife basically go up to Gabi. They don't really know her name is Gabi at this point, but he goes up to her and he's like, are you okay? Like, he's concerned about her well-being. And this is when things start to diffuse a little bit. We see Mikasa go up to Gabi, try to comfort her, try to, treat her wounds. And then we see Kaya, the girl who Sasha saved from the tie in the few that we saw was actually helping out Gabi and Falco all this time. She goes up with a knife and tries to stab Gabi in the back. Now, luckily, Mikasa is able to grab her arm and stop her, but we see that this is a heartbreaking moment right here, because this girl, despite knowing the fact that Falco and Gabi were from Marley, she still trusted them. She still thought they were friends. And then to find out that they were the ones who killed someone so close to her, she felt betrayed. And I think this moment for Gabi right here is basically going to be the defining factor for when she actually has to make the choice of which side she's going to be on later on in the series, because we know that the invasion is going to start soon. Because we already saw the card titans here. So I think that now, because of this part of the series, where Gabi is not only being forgiven by Sasha's parents for killing her, and that she realized that, maybe the Lydians aren't so bad, and she can see how hurt Kaya is, in fact that, this war is basically just taking loved ones away from each other. I think this might be, like, she'll think back to this moment, when the war starts up, when the war or the invasion starts up, and she has to choose whose side she's on. I think she'll think back to this moment and decide to basically side with Paradise Island and go against Marley and try to stop them in the war. Then we get to possibly the most important part of the chapter, because this part of the chapter sets everything up, sets everything that could possibly happen in the future, and sets all the theories and ideas I had after reading this chapter up. Alright, so everything's calmed down a little bit, and we get a moment where Nico basically tells Hanji, hey, you might want to wash Falco's mouth out with water, although it might be too late at this point. And when she asks him what the fuck you're talking about, he basically says he drank some of the wine. Some of the wine got into his mouth. And when she asks him what exactly was in that wine, we end up finding out, he doesn't really know for sure, but we end up finding out that basically, more than likely, that wine had Zeke's spinal fluid inside of it, which we found out in the last chapter can basically let Zeke control people and forcibly turn them into Titans. Now, this is actually really interesting for a lot of reasons. Alright, for starters, now that Zeke basically, now that Falco has drank Zeke's spinal fluid, he's going to become a Titan. Like, at some point, when Zeke enacts his plan, he's going to forcibly turn everyone who drank the spinal fluid into Titans, which includes Falco now. Now, we've been setting up since this 4-year time skip arc started that Reiner wants Falco to inherit the Armored Titan from him. So I'm guessing now that we have Falco basically becoming a Titan shifter, basically now that we have him basically being forcibly turned into a Titan, at some point during the invasion, we're going to have Falco eat Reiner, because Reiner's at the end of his lifespan. He's at the end of, his time of a Titan. So we're going to have Reiner get eaten by Falco, and we're going to finally have Falco inherit the Armored Titan abilities. And when Falco actually does end up turning into the Armored Titan, this actually will be a crucial moment, because basically right now the running theory is that Zeke is using his spinal fluid to control Eren. But we don't have actually any proof of that. We don't know if Zeke can actually use his spinal fluid to control other Titan shifters. So once Falco actually turns into the Armored Titan, if Zeke is actually still able to control him, then we'll know for sure that, yeah, Zeke most likely is controlling Eren. But if Falco is actually able to fight control over that, then we'll know without a shadow of a doubt that fact that everything Eren has done up to this point has been his own will. It's basically been his own intentions to do everything he's done. So we know that we'll have definitive proof that now Eren has just basically, of his own intentions, gone completely off the deep end. And then the other reason why this part is so important is because of the fact that we saw a few chapters ago that all of the military police higher-ups were drinking that wine. Which means now, it basically brings into question the fact that maybe literally everyone who drank that wine is now under the control of Zeke. Which basically means that the only person that Hanji can trust outside of her immediate team in the Survey Corps and Levy is now Pyxis. Literally, that's it. Just Pyxis. That's the only person in the military besides her team that she can trust. So yeah, guys, get pretty much ready for another civil war in the middle of this whole invasion arc. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. That's it for the chapter. I am so excited by this chapter. Like, everything that's set up. The fact that we don't know if the military police are being controlled by Zeke at this point. And the fact that, they could actually at any point turn against the entire alliance. We don't know what Zeke's plan is. We don't know what Eren's plan is. We don't know if Gabi's going to... We don't really know if Gabi's going to end up choosing to work with the alliance or if she's going to go back to Marley. We don't know what's going to happen with Falco. So much was set up in this chapter. So many things are, set up from this chapter. And then on top of that, we know that the invasion's coming. We know the invasion is going to start any time now. So we got all this to worry about. I'm just so excited to see what happens next in the chapter, or what happens next in the series. That's it for the review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop me a like, subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace.